All right, it's now past the hour of 7 o'clock, and I will call the Thursday, June 18th of 2020 meeting of the Appropriations Committee to order. Prior to getting into any business, we have an announcement by our Town Administrator, John Kader.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a couple of housekeeping matters. This open meeting of the Appropriations Committee is being conducted remotely, consistent with the Governor Baker's executive order of March 12th, 2020, due to the state of emergency in the Commonwealth due to the outbreak of the COVID-19 virus. In order to mitigate the transmission of the COVID-19 virus, the town has been advised and directed by the Commonwealth to suspend public gatherings, and as such, the governor's order suspends the requirement of the open meeting law to have all meetings in a publicly accessible physical location. All members of the Appropriations Committee are allowed and encouraged to participate remotely. The order allows the Appropriations Committee to meet entirely remotely so long as reasonable public access is afforded so that the public can follow along with the deliberations of the meeting. The public is encouraged to follow along using the posted agenda unless the chair notes otherwise. Members of the public who wish to view the live stream of this meeting may do so by going to the Northborough Remote Meetings on YouTube via the link listed in the agenda. This meeting is also being streamed live in real time over our local access channels on channel 30 on Verizon. Ensuring public access does not ensure public participation unless such participation is required by law. This meeting will not feature public comment. The purpose of the meeting this evening is for the committee to review its final report recommendations to town meeting and to make that report complete. This again is based on the review, discussions, and votes that were taken at your July 11th meeting. So with that, I turn it back over to the chair to confirm member access.
All right, my name is Rick Niebuhr. I'm the Vice Chair of the Appropriations Committee, and we will have a roll call vote of the members. Please answer in the affirmative when I call your name. George Benkel.
Here.
Janice Height.
Here.
Anthony Poteet.
Here.
And Bob D'Amico.
Here.
And our staff members, John Kader, our Town Administrator.
Present.
And Jason Little of the Finance Committee.
Present.
All right, the first article on our agenda is the approval of the minutes of June 11th, 2020. Do we have any comments on the minutes first? Just raise your hand if anyone has any comments. Okay, seeing none, I will entertain a motion to accept the minutes of January 11th.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
We have a motion has been made and seconded to accept the minutes of June 11th. All in favor?
Aye.
Janice, aye. George?
Aye.
Tony?
Aye.
Bob?
Aye.
And myself, aye. The motion has been made and passed unanimously. Next on our agenda is the discussion and approval of the town meeting report containing recommendations previously voted on at the June 11th, 2020 meeting of the Finance Committee. This report I mailed out earlier to everybody. There have been some changes and modifications from our town administrator and our Finance Committee. So I would like to turn it over to them to go through this. We will not be taking individual votes on any of these. This will be reserved for one final vote at the end of going through these. So John, would you care to speak, begin on this?
Sure, Mr. Chairman. So Jason Little, the Finance Director, and myself reviewed the draft that went out. We made some formatting changes and some editing for primarily for consistency. A couple of things I want to draw your attention to is first of all, we're unique this year because we have warrant articles that were posted on March 23rd, as we normally would do on a typical time schedule. However, subsequent to that, we have revised the budget, we revised a bunch of the capital articles, as well as some other articles. And so it gets complicated in terms of trying to make sure that when somebody's reading your report, that they understand exactly what has transpired. So what we did is we tried to be consistent in the notation. So it says the Appropriations Committee unanimously recommends approval of this article as amended. And so what is showing in your report is what will be the amended budgets and the amended articles. In the description, we've tried to add in what the original warrant article stated, or the original budget increase was going to be versus the revised or amended budget. And so we've done that consistently through your report. Just so if you look at like Article 6, it says due to the impact of COVID-19, the original FY 2021 K-8 budget increase of 3.15% was revised down to 249,286, or 1%. So again, that way, if somebody's looking at this and the original warrant, it's clear that what the committee is recommending is the revised warrant articles. And so again, just to try to again drive this home, if you look at Article 10, this is the Appropriation Committee's reserve fund. So originally, as posted in the warrant, your reserve fund is historically 175,000. Under the revised budget recommendations, that is going to be increased by 200,000 by eliminating the contribution to the stabilization fund. So again, just for the purposes of the report, we have originally 175, and it says amended to 375,000. And so again, as noted on the recommendation box, the Appropriations Committee unanimously recommends approval of this article as amended. And then under this, in the description, we just added a couple of bullets to explain what the amendment, why the amendment is being proposed. So you have to keep in mind, when we go to town meeting, the warrant articles are as they are posted. So we're going to need to amend the articles, and we'll do that through the motions. And so the other thing is, where originally the report made reference to specific article pages in the warrant book, we took those out, and we did that because we're in the process of creating a new comprehensive handout for town meeting. And so in that handout, we may have the original warrant article and then the amended motion that would change it. And so if we do that, it'll change the page references and so forth. So we didn't want to have page references in your report to a handout and not have things lined up. Again, things are going to be moving quickly, and this budget has undergone multiple amendments, over the last month or so to deal with the revenue, the forecasted revenue shortfall. So, but if you look at the report, we're consistent in the way we're addressing the original versus the amended. And then wherever there's an article, for instance, look at Article 15. That's the DPW loader replacement. Now, originally that was 240,000. We're recommending, and the Financial Planning Committee is recommending, and the Appropriations Committee has also recommended that we pass over this article. So your report indicates that the Appropriations Committee unanimously recommends passing over this article, which was effectively your vote, because you voted to recommend the article as amended, and the amendment was to zero it out or to pass over it. But again, in your report, we show the original appropriation, and then it's been amended to zero, and then the explanation is that the vehicle replacement is recommended to be postponed in order to free up available funds for other potential needs, including the fiscal 21 operating budget. So those were the primary changes that we made going through, again, just for consistency and to make sure that that folks could follow along easily. We thought it was important that they could see both numbers, the original as well as the revised or the recommended amended motion that will be going forward to town meeting. But in each event, or for each article, this committee on July 11th voted these amendments, or voted to recommend these amendments as were presented. So We're just kind of putting them into a format that better, I think, represents more clearly what you've done. The only other item in here, and again, we can go through any of these descriptions tonight. Really, the purpose is to make sure that the descriptions reflect the thoughts of the committee. The votes have already been, have already taken place. So, so those are all set. This is really just the narrative and the visual that goes along with your votes from last week. The only substantive vote that you may want to think about this evening or possibly reconsider is under Article 32, the Community Preservation Fund. This is the disc golf project. I've received communication from the conservation agent that there's been some additional tree cutting in violation of the Conservation Commission's order. So originally there was a cease and desist order placed on the group for cutting down trees that they weren't supposed to be cutting down. But it's my understanding that another faction of that group has again cut down trees that they weren't supposed to cut down. So in the next coming week or so, the Conservation Commission is going to be meeting with this group. And my understanding is that the Community Preservation Committee will be meeting with this group to reassess their project. So given the fact that the Community Preservation Committee and Conservation are going to be reassessing the status of that project, this committee may want to pull back its recommendation. You don't have to recommend against it, but you may want to pull back your recommendation in favor of the project pending additional information from the Conservation Commission and the Community Preservation Commission with regard to whether or not the project is going to move forward. So that's the only substantive item for your review tonight. Otherwise, we can walk through this report in any detail that the committee would like, or you've had a chance to review it. If you have any questions about any of the narrative through the chair, we can address that. That's really the purpose of the meeting tonight.
Okay, well, as you heard from John, our committee has already voted on all of these warrant articles. And this report has basically been modified just to show the changes where they originally were and where they are proposed to go. So rather, I don't want to shortchange anything. I don't want to drag anything out. So do I have any comments on this report at all that anyone would like to make? Yes, Bob.
Yeah, can you refresh my memory on one thing? I got short-term memory. On that Article 32 on a disc golf, what was the purpose of the cease and desist? What was the reason why they had a cease and desist?
So disc golf, it's located up on Edmonds Hill behind the senior center. And so it flows, the project goes over the town property, the recreation property, and the conservation property. So when they were laid out the disc golf, the Conservation Commission and the conservation agent walked with them and indicated in their approval or their tentative approval what they could remove for saplings and branches that might be in the way of the course. And so that was the limit of what they were authorized to remove. Volunteers went up there. There was a lack of communication somewhere, and they cut down trees that they weren't supposed to be cutting down. So Conservation Commission issued a cease and desist. My understanding is pending the meeting, another group of volunteers has gone up there and cut down additional trees. So Conservation agent has taken additional action against them. And at this point in time, the Conservation Commission wants to meet with them as well as the Community Preservation Committee to make sure that they have clarity about what they should or should not be doing relative to this project.
And
Any other
when are they
comments?
meeting them?
I'm sorry, Bob, I didn't hear you. Can you repeat,
Oh,
please?
I was just wondering when are they meeting with them? When is
Yeah, I will send you that information. I had tried to contact my conservation agent tonight after hours, but was unsuccessful. But the meeting will be posted. So if you were to go on the town's website, you should be able to see it. But we can let you know when those meetings are going to take place. And both the Conservation Commission meeting as well as the Community Preservation Committee meeting would be streamed live so that if any of the members of this committee wanted to watch those proceedings, you'd be able to.
Okay.
Yes, Tony.
Yes, so I think I would like to recommend that the committee rescind recommendation of Article 32. Just because this is twice now. And so we can always get back on top of it right before a town meeting. But it seems to me we probably should consider rescinding recommendation of this article. So if you don't mind, I'd like to make a motion that we rescind the vote to recommend approval of Article 32.
I'll second that, Tony. This is Bob.
Okay, should we just have a rescind notice on that, John, or should we have it that we rescind the motion and put it on hold until we have further notice?
Yeah, I mean, you can certainly, we could just indicate that the committee has not taken a position on this article pending additional information. Would be how I would represent it on here on your report, if that's acceptable.
Sorry, is that, we have to vote whether to recommend or not recommend the article.
Yes.
So it's either one or the other.
Well, you can choose not, through the chair, if I may, you don't have to recommend or not recommend. You can, and this has happened in the past where
Sure.
you've taken a position of,
Right.
that you're not going to recommend, you're holding off on your recommendation pending additional information, which is the case here.
Sounds good.
If Conservation Commission is made happy and the Community Preservation Commission committee is going to continue to support the project, you then at town meeting can choose to issue your recommendation at that point. So at this point, you have a motion, a second, and we're in discussion.
To withhold recommendation.
Yes,
Yes.
All
I
right,
would say
I'd say we have
to withdraw
Tony's
your
original idea.
recommendation
We have to
pending additional information.
rescind our current recommendation and then put it on hold until we get further information on this. So do I have someone like to restate the motion? The motion is on the floor. Do I have a second?
If I might,
Yes, Tony.
to withhold recommendation of
Yes.
Article 32 to town meeting.
I'll second that.
Okay, and Bob seconded. All in favor. Janice,
Aye.
Bob.
Aye.
D'Amico, okay. George,
Aye.
me. Tony, you,
Aye.
and I'll vote aye, as Rick Niebuhr. Does anyone have any further comments on our recommendations or anything else I'd like to go over at this point concerning those recommendations? Tony?
Yes. Thank you for putting this thing in order. It's great.
Now, that was a collaboration. I started, and John and the Finance Committee cleaned it up very nicely for me.
Yes.
Do we have any other comments? Okay, lacking any
Thing,
comments.
Rick. Yeah, I like the idea that they went original to amended. I think that's a good touch. So good job.
Yeah, the first one, Kathy was telling us about it, it sounded like we could recommend it, but now we have a second offense, and I think we really do have to hold off on that. As far as the warrant goes, I'd like someone to make a motion that the committee approve the report as amended and further allow the chair to work with the town administrator to make any additional edits necessary to complete the report for town meeting consideration.
So moved.
Second.
Someone has to make that motion.
Did you write it out?
Well, you can just,
Well, Tony said so moved, so we'll,
Yeah,
do we
That
have a
would work.
second then? Do I have a
Janice
second?
seconded.
okay.
All right, we'll take a roll call vote. Bob D'Amico,
Aye.
Janice Height,
Aye.
George Benko,
Aye.
Anthony Potteet,
Aye.
and myself, Rick Niebuhr, aye. So it is unanimous. Again, the report, we approve the report as amended and further allow the chair to work with the town administrator to make any additional edits necessary to complete the report for town meeting and consideration. Now, town meeting has been postponed and it is moved to, it is moved to
July 11th.
Saturday. Yes, moved to Saturday, July 11th at 9 a.m. at the Algonquin football field. That ought to be an interesting meeting. Now, do we have any other further business to come before the committee? John?
One other item I just want you to be aware of, I did send you an email and a copy of the memo, but at their meeting, since town meeting was voted on June 15th at the selectmen's meeting to be postponed to July 11th, we are going to cross fiscal lines. And as we stated previously to the committee, that means that we are going to need a temporary appropriation, a 1/12 budget in accordance with Chapter 53 of the Acts of 2020. And so the nice thing is, by the time we got to the Board of Selectmen's meeting on June 15th, all the boards and committees have approved all of the articles in the budgets. And just so that you are aware of this, at their meeting on June 15th, the Board of Selectmen also approved the operating budgets for the K-8 schools, general government, and the regional high school. So I'm very pleased to report, as of this moment, or as of Monday, we have another year and a very difficult and trying year, but we have every member of every board and committee unanimous in terms of our operating in our capital budget that's going forward. So I just want to thank everybody for all the work and reviews that went into that. So again, despite the extremely difficult financial situation that all municipalities are finding themselves in right now, we were able to work collaboratively with all the departments, including the schools, bring forward a budget that is balanced. And our budget is balanced, and it is not counting on additional relief funds coming from the state or federal government. It is balanced as it stands right now if no further action were to take place. As you know, we may receive, in all likelihood, some additional relief funds particularly from the federal government. If and when that happens, we can have a special town meeting in the fall to readjust the budget. Or if we take no action, essentially any of those additional funds would only be able to be used to reduce the tax impact. So we're in a very good position at the moment. Everybody is on the same page with regard to the budgets and the capital. It's a great place for us to be going into town meeting. And I think we're in, as I said, we're in good shape for the shape we're in, as they say. So, but I do appreciate all the work and the input and the questions from the committee. And as Rick said, town meeting Saturday, July 11th, 9 a.m. in the football field. Oh, but what I was going to mention was that 1/12 budget, you have that. And so the fact that we finished this whole approval process and everybody's on the same page allows us to confidently move forward with that 1/12 budget for the month of July. Now, hopefully we won't really even need that, because by July 11th, we presumably will have held town meeting and we'll have an approved budget. And then we're just off as if it's the start of a normal fiscal year. But all of the provisions that were needed to make sure that July 1 will be able to maintain and continue our services are all in place. And that's, again, it's a good place for us to be as a community. So just wanted to make sure you're aware of that.
Yes, Bob?
Yeah, I just want to know, when is that meeting for the 1/12 going to be?
Well, that was a vote taken under Chapter 53 of the Acts of 2020, under that special legislation. That vote was taken by the Board of Selectmen on June 15th at their meeting. So they had to take it at that meeting because they're not going to, because our town meeting now is going to cross fiscal lines. So that
But it's
vote's
not-
already been taken.
Okay, but it's not something we have to do then.
No, I just sent you a copy by email. You may not have seen it yet, but I sent you a
Okay.
copy of the memo that was put together by Jason Little, the finance director. And it's based on the budget that you have already
Oh, okay.
approved.
I thought it was something we had to do. Okay, I got it.
No, I just wanted you to be aware because as with the chairman's announcement about town meeting crossing fiscal lines, I know we talked about this a couple meetings back that we need that 1/12 budget approved. So that has been approved by the Board of
Okay.
Selectmen. We are all set right now, guys.
Okay, I'm good. Thanks.
To proceed from this point to town meeting. We're really going to be focusing on now just the logistics of town meeting, the handouts, because there won't be any PowerPoint presentations done on a screen in the middle of the day out in the field. So all the presentations and handouts need to be put together, including yours. They'll be printed and made available to the town meeting reps or voters that show up. So that's how things will proceed. But as of today, as of Monday, actually, we're all set to proceed. It's just really now just working on the logistics of making sure everybody can get in, get out, be safe at town meeting. So
Hey, Tony, did you have something extra? I thought I saw
Well,
you
that's it.
had.
Thank you.
Okay.
John answered my questions.
good.
Well, I think this has been quite oh, Janice.
John, does this affect this going to this 1/12? Does it in any way affect the setting of the tax rate?
No,
Occurs in the fall.
no, not at all.
But
Again, we're unlike some communities that if they can't put a budget together because they really need to know what their state aid or federal relief funds are going to look like, they may not have a town meeting until October or closer to when the tax rate gets set at the end of November. We're not in that situation, and we're talking about just skipping over about a week and a half into the new fiscal year. So I can actually tell you right now, I believe as of yesterday, if I'm not mistaken, the board took their vote on Monday, June 15th. Jason Little, the finance director, submitted all the forms to the state, and they've already approved our 1/12 budget. So we are good to go for the month of July pending town meeting. So everything is on track.
right,
Any other comment? Well, just in closing, I think this has been a very unique and trying year for all the boards, committees, departments, the schools. Everyone has done a yeoman's job. But I think you should give John a big hand here because he had to pull this whole thing together, and I don't think he slept in the last month.
Well, I would defer through the chair also, Jason Little, finance director. I've seen and spent more time with him over the past 2 months than I have my wife. So a lot of weekends, a lot of evenings to get this stuff put together. And he's just been, I can't say enough about what Jason brings to the table and his commitment to the town. So I appreciate his work as well as all the departments. Everybody worked together as that's been our tradition for 12 years. We've had unanimous support, and this should be the poster child for anybody out there who looks at this process and says, "Oh, every year it's unanimous." Nobody's really looking at this stuff critically. This was a brutal budget, and it had a lot of attention from everybody. And yet we still came out the other side with everybody on the same page. And I think that speaks volumes about the quality of the information that we provide and the quality and duration of the process. I look back, June 4th, we had a joint meeting with the K-8 schools, the financial planning, appropriations, and the Board of Selectmen. And for me, the shining jewel of that meeting was that everybody agreed on the information. And that's probably the most important thing. We get good data, good information, then we can make policy decisions and value judgments about where we want to spend our money. But if you don't have that information, the discussion will deteriorate quickly if you can't agree on the facts. So just again, that tells me that the staff is on track, the process is good, the data is good, because it allows you to make informed decisions. So, but again, I appreciate all the support of the Appropriations Committee through the process. I know it hasn't been easy on you guys either, but I think we all have good faith in the data and the process. So it bears out at the end. So thank you for your support as well.
And Jason, I didn't mean to slight you or diminish your work in any way. In fact, I'd like to thank him. He is the one that reformatted my whole report here. So it looks it looks a lot better than my original one.
We all work together, so I appreciate the compliment. But you know, John and I worked on it together, so it wasn't me formatting it alone. We all got it over the line in the end.
So
That's
I
the
guess
key.
that's,
Get it over the line.
I'll entertain a motion for that we adjourn for the evening.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, we have a motion been made and seconded. We will close this meeting of the Appropriations Committee at 7:35. Thank you for your attendance.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Appreciate it.
Do we vote on it?